did. I botched it.
You can't really botch the. That's a hard thing to botch. Yeah. Botch the botch. Botch a botch.
But yeah.
All right, thanks. That'll be good.
Is there any water downstairs?
Looks like we are live. There's water up here.
Is there water?
Yep. Got a fresh bottle for you there, sir. I think you make sure that's actually not been open.
Nope.
Okay, good. A prayer of thanks. Well, there, I just saw the handoff on the old internet there. Hey, Shabbat Shalom, anyone watching at home? Shabbat Shalom to all of you in the congregation. Oh, man. All right. Hey, Connie, nice to see you. We are gathering here. Let's see what is happening on. Oh, yeah, that picture looks good.
In our own way, we are gathering.
Hey, Angela, you make sure that your mics, I think your mics are both on. Actually,
It is
we
on.
play something?
Yes, it is
Yeah,
on.
you're good. Actually, I just heard your voice through your piano mic, and you're good. Yeah, we should be all good.
For the most part. Oh, I'm missing my
Hello,
thing.
everybody.
There it is. Yeah.
We're going to get started in just a moment. From this perspective, I thought that I arranged these chairs, and I thought that I had it like perfectly centered. But now that I'm looking from here, I think everything needs to go over just a touch this way.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Yep. Whoops.
Another project.
That's for another day. Nice. We're going to get started in just a moment, everyone who is watching online, and maybe we'll have a couple people in the congregation. We do often have more people watching online than we do here in the sanctuary, which is a very interesting phenomenon for 2021. All right. Paul, hope you are healing up. See a Shabbat Shalom from you. You're still on our healing list, still sending healing prayers in your direction. Hey, Steve, Shabbat Shalom to you. We're going to get started with our service in just a minute. Good Shabbos. Thanks for the Yiddish comments there. We always appreciate that. A good Shabbos to you. We got cats. Okay. Yeah, you can, whatever you'd like.
There we go.
You've never sat this close to the front before.
Wow.
That is great. All right. Well, we got people gathering online. We got people gathering in person. We're in good shape. 6:31. Why don't we get started? Well, Shabbat Shalom. We're going to sing Hine Matov U'Manayim, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. How good it is that we can be together, no matter where we are, either online or in person. So here we are. Let's join together.
Now I am.
Hine matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. 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 Shevet achim gam yachad. Shevet achim gam yachad.
our numbers here in the room are growing, and we're glad to have you folks here. And to those folks who are watching on Facebook and on YouTube and on our website, hello, wherever you ended up watching from this evening, and Shabbat Shalom to you. We're going to keep on singing Esa Einai El Harim. I lift my eyes to the heavens and I ask, where does my help come from? Let's join together and sing it. Well, Shabbat Shalom. Our congregation doubled again in the room here. And I know that there are a bunch of people who are watching online, so we're not discounting you. Shabbat Shalom to you. Glad to see you all who have joined us. If you're here, at least on the Facebook version, if you want to put a Shabbat Shalom in the comments so we know you're here, and we will join together in a few moments as we make our way through this Shabbat of Parshat Noach. This is the second Torah portion in the cycle. Means we're moving slightly past the high holidays, although maybe we're still feeling a little bit of those high holidays. And it's a nice time for us to be together. So we're going to turn to the candle lighting, which you can find on page number 2, or right up here on the screen. And we are going to call our youth director and school administrator and sometimes musician, always musician, but sometimes during services musician, Angelo, to light the candles for us. Page 2 or right here on the screen. Hey Miriam, Shabbat Shalom to you. Will they stay?
Asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehavlik ner shel Shabbat.
We're going to read here on page 3 or up here on the screen. O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and into our lives. We're going to take just a moment before we get into Lachadodi, take a few moments just to see if we can take a deep breath. Amanda, you can go back over to the candle shot if you'd like. I'm going to stop directing after that. Special thanks to Amanda Cohn for volunteering to do the tech stuff tonight. Thank you for that. So I'm going to turn on the lights for just a moment so we can focus on the beauty of the light of these candles. And let's see if we can just, those of us here and those of us at home, take a deep breath. See if we can let go of a little bit of the stress from this past week. And welcome a little bit of calm, a little bit of peace at this Shabbat. May the light of these candles find their way into our hearts. May we find that light that we seek. We're going to join together in singing Lecha Dodi. You can find that on page 20 or right up here on the screen.
Lecha Dodi Likrakala Yalala 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 B'nei Shabbat Yekavela Lecha Dodi Likrakala Yalala 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 B'nei Shabbat Yekavela Shamor V'Zachor V'Dibor Echad Ish Miyanu Adonai Echad U'Shemo Echad L'Shem U'Tiferet V'Le'ilah Lecha Dodi Likrakala Yalala 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 B'nei Shabbat Yekavela Lecha Dodi Likrakala Yalala 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 B'nei Shabbat Yekavela Likrat Shabbat Lechu B'Lecha Yekor Rosh Nekedem Nesucha Sof Ma'aseh Lecha Dodi Likrakala Yalala 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 B'nei Shabbat Yekavela Lecha Dodi Likrakala Yalala 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 B'nei Shabbat Yekavela Hitoreri Hitoreri Kiva Orech Uri Shir Daveri Kevod Adonai Alai Nikra Lecha Dodi Likrakala Yalala 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 B'nei Shabbat Yekavela Lecha Dodi Likrakala Yalala 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 B'nei Shabbat Yekavela.
If you're able to please rise, face the entrance to the room, and there's Leslie, our Shabbat bride. Bowie
Shalom
Ateret Bala
Gam B'Simcha
Uletzov
Olam Tov Emuneh Am Senulah Bowie Kala Bowie Kala Lecha Dodi Likrakala Yalala 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 B'nei Shabbat Yekavela Lecha Dodi Likrakala Yalala 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 B'nei Shabbat Yekavela
seated for a moment. And Shabbat Shalom to everyone who came in during that prayer. Hello to you all. Shabbat Shalom. Nice to see you. We're going to read together either on page 27 or up here on the screen. Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer, on the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days, lest my day be today as the one before, lest routine set my ways. We will ask you again to please rise as we turn to the Baruch Hu on page 28. These are the words up here on the screen.
Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? La la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la.
Together on page 30 or up here on the screen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, bechokma poteach she'arim, uvitvuna mishaneh itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader het hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono. At the bottom of the page or up here on the screen, you are the creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzvaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. And let's keep reading in English. We're going to read Ahavat Olam, this declaration of God's oneness and God's love for us. Everlasting love you have offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night will we reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them helps give meaning to our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. We'll ask you once again, this time just for a moment, to please rise.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Adonai Echad. Baruch
did. And are we chanting?
Yeah.
Okay, let me just advance through these slides then. That we're all right. There we go. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavecha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol me'otecha v'hayu hadavarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha Vishinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha v'beitecha uvlechtecha haderech uv'shokbecha uv'kumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotefot bein einecha uktavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Just a moment, we're going to turn to the Mocha prayer, and I ask if anybody has a simcha, something that for which you are thankful for on this Shabbat. Anyone want to? Online, you can certainly put it in the comments. Anybody in the room want to share a simcha, anything, any positive thing from this past time? Both of our boys went back to school after being down for the count. We've had so many COVID tests in our house that it is we are very well tested. But both of our 3-year-olds are back at school today, and everyone's healthy. So I am thankful for that. Anyone else? Well, let's join together then singing our Mocha prayer. You can find that on page 40, and we'll sing together. Keep on singing as we make our way towards the Amidah. We have Vishamru on page 44. This is the prayer that says, thank you, God, for enabling us, for commanding us to observe the mitzvah of Shabbat. And here we are, observing the mitzvah of Shabbat in new and creative ways, that is for sure. All right, and we figured out a key.
We figured out a key.
Nice, all right.
Shamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat la'asot et HaShabbat le'dor B'nai Yisrael Otiti Le'olam. Shamru B'nai Yisrael et HaShabbat la'asot et HaShabbat le'torotam be'itoram. Ki sheshet yamin asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz Shamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat la'asot et HaShabbat le'torotam be'itoram. Uvayom hashvi'i Shavat vayinafash Shavat vayinafash Shavat Shamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat la'asot et HaShabbat le'torotam be'itoram.
You can find the Amidah beginning on page 46 or up here on the screen. We'll join in singing or chanting Adonai Sifatai, whichever one we end up going with, and then we'll do the first three blessings of the Amidah together and then have some time for silent prayer and meditation on the following pages. So let's turn to page 46 and we'll invite everyone to please rise.
Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 Svatai Tifta. Na 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 Uvi Yagi. Uvi Yagi Tehillah Techa. Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 Svatai Tifta. Na 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 Uvi Yahid. Uvi Yahid Tehillah Techa. Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 Svatai Tifta. Na 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 Uvi Yahid. Uvi Yahid Tehillah Techa. Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 Svatai Tiftach. Na 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 Ufi Yagid. Ufi Yagid Tehillah Techa.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, El Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Konei Hakol, v'Zocher Hastei Avot v'Imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, L'ma'an Shemo B'Yahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Makin, Baruch atah Adonai, Magid Avraham Be'ezrat Sarah,
Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol ata Rav leHoshia, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim berofech olim, Umatir asurim, Umechayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Micha mocha bal gevurot, Umido melach, Melech memit, Umechayem, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'emanat ha'chayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechaye hakol. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kedoshim b'chol yom yihalelu chasela. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. You may be seated and use either the words in your prayer book on page 54 through 60, and then go to my silent prayer. Or use the words that Mark is going to sing for us to inspire your silent prayer.
This is the moment as time rolls by for my silent prayer to Adonai. A prayer of thanks for all my blessings, prayer of compassion for all in need, a prayer of knowledge for I keep guessing, a prayer between God and me. Close your eyes, say a prayer. Adonai will be there. A prayer of thanks for all my blessings, a prayer of compassion for all in need, a prayer of knowledge for I keep guessing, a prayer between God and me, a prayer between God and me, a prayer between God and me.
Well, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I'd like to begin my talk this evening by asking if anybody here or online knows what the tallest building is in the world. Any takers? Ooh, yes, I heard it over here. And maybe you online answered it correctly as well. I heard someone say Dubai, and impressive that you could do that without Googling it. We have one of the tallest structures here on the Western Hemisphere, as we know, One World Trade Center in New York. But you're right that the tallest building in the world, coming in at 2,717 feet tall, is the Burj Khalifa Tower in Dubai. It is over over a half a mile into the sky, if you can believe that. For comparison, it would take about 50 Temple Beth Shaloms stacked on top of each other to reach the height of the Burj Tower. That's right, the structure, as you can imagine, is a marvel. And if you haven't taken a moment to Google it and look at it, it is really beautiful. And even looking at pictures alone, you can feel what a testament it is of the ability of people to build these giant structures. But the question that I guess we might want to ask ourselves is, does the world really need a building that is 2,700 feet tall? In the Torah portion that we're reading this week called Noah, after the famous story of Noah and the flood, the one everybody knows, the animals and the ark and all of that stuff,
There is another story that is very short. It's only a few paragraphs that the book of Genesis tells us after the Great Flood. And it's a story about the people who gathered together and decide to compile material to make brick and mortar so that they can build a city and they can build a tower that was so tall that, as it says, the top of it was touching the sky. The tower comes to be known in the Torah as the Tower of Babel, because as a result of what God interprets to be the people's arrogance in building such a large structure that could be used for idol worship, God punishes the people of earth by hindering their communication with one another. That's the punishment. There's a midrash story that goes along with this text that indicates another reason why God may have been angry with the people. It relates that during the construction of the tower, speed was the top priority. Those who constructed the tower built day and night without a break, pushing ahead to build the tower taller and taller and taller. According to the midrash, the tower was of such a great height that it took a person 1 year to climb from the base up to the top. And every brick that was baked on the ground then had to be carried to the top, and it was therefore considered to be extremely valuable. And in time, according to this midrash, people started to see the bricks as more valuable than human life. We learned that when constructing the tower, if a person fell to his death or got injured on the job, people paid no attention. But if a brick fell, however, they lamented day and night the delay of their building project. The problem of the builders of the Tower of Babel wasn't that they wanted to engineer this huge structure that would climb up to the heavens. They may have started the project with good intentions, but that constant push, that day after day grind of man-made building led them to make decisions that were in the end unethical. It pushed them too far. The builders quickly lost sight of what was most important, and their priorities got skewed. There's a biblical commentator named Nechama Leibowitz who has, shall we say, strong feelings about this. She wrote, technical mastery gives rise to pride and self-confidence. The achievements of human skill are transformed from being a means to an end in themselves. Man who has the power to reach these technical heights soon imagines that he himself is all-powerful. This deludes him with greatness and makes him feel immortal. In short, he's just doing it to make a name for himself. So often we want to define ourselves by our achievements, by the towers that we are able to build. You may remember that a few years ago, during one of my high holiday sermons, I talked about the New York Times columnist David Brooks, who wrote an article and then a book called The Road to Character, in which he introduces two terms for different types of values. He discusses resume values and eulogy values. Resume values, he argues, are those that are valued in the contemporary marketplace, the high test scores achieved by a student, or the professional accomplishments pulled off by an adult. They are the skills that are met with bigger paychecks and public acknowledgement. Eulogy virtues, on the other hand, are aspects of character that others praise when a person isn't still around to hear it. Humility, kindness, bravery, integrity, generosity. Sound familiar? Our society exalts the resume values, but often overlooks the humbler eulogy values. Still, we know that at our core, that the second category of values is what really matters. We know that in the end, what matters is not how much stuff we have or how tall are the towers that we've built, but instead, how have we made the world maybe just a little bit better than we found it? A number of years ago, there is a hospice nurse who wrote an article that turned into a book also about the 5 most common regrets that her patients had when they were dying. Here's just a very abbreviated version of that list. Number 1, I wish I had the courage to live true to myself, not a life that others expected of me, but a life that was true to me. Number 2, I wish I didn't work so hard and spend so many hours at work. Number 3, I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. Number 4, I wish I had stayed in touch with my family and friends more. And number 5, I wish that I had let myself be happier. This list that is culled from actual hospice patients illustrates the point poignantly. Seldom does someone reach the end of life and wish that they had worked a little harder or that they had built their towers a little higher. But so often people wish that they had been able to focus more on the important stuff, the care of loved ones, the development of relationships, the celebration of family, maybe patching up that relationship that people put off and put off and put off until it was too late. So how can we switch our mindset to value these eulogy values over resume values? I think it's, just to note, very, very difficult, particularly difficult to switch our mindset when we are living in a culture that is increasingly narcissistic and focused on the bricks in our towers rather than who we are as humans. Think about how much of our day-to-day life is perhaps focused on how we are perceived by others. Earlier this week, we saw that Instagram and Facebook and WhatsApp went down for 5 or 6 hours. And afterward, I saw post after post of people who were lamenting about feeling withdrawal symptoms from not being able to post about their lives during that time. Or maybe you saw the story about American tourists who destroyed a 300-year-old statue in Italy as they climbed all over it trying to get the perfect selfie. Or maybe you heard about the young couple a few summers ago who carved their names into a brick in the Roman Colosseum before taking selfies in front of it. Sadly, there are examples like this that are literally happening every single day. But as we read about the Tower of Babel and remember that this issue has been around since the Torah itself, maybe we can begin to actually make a change. It's so easy to get distracted by that which we deem important rather than what's really important. It's certainly not a bad thing for us to work hard and take pride in what we've built, and it's not a bad thing to be proud of our achievements and our resume successes. But our tradition just argues that it can't be the only thing. We have to balance our resumes with building our souls and asking ourselves the essential question of, who am I? Am I the towers that I built? Am I successful just because of the work that I do? Or am I successful because of how I treat people in this world, by the goodness and compassion that I show other people? That's what Judaism demands of us. Am I driven by resume values or eulogy values? While society pushes us to work on these resume values, let us remember that we can also always work on our eulogy values. As David Brooks says, the road to character is not predetermined. The character is something that we can work on, that we can nurture, we can change and improve. And let me just say, it's not only at the high holiday time where we can look at ourselves and figure out what we're doing right and what we need to improve upon. Our tradition enables us to be able to do that every single day of our lives. So perhaps on this Shabbat and at various times as this new year is still unfolding before us, we can just take a few moments to put down a brick or two, slow down our building, put our phones away perhaps, and focus outward. I'm not asking us to stop building, but rather, especially on Shabbat, maybe we can just slow down for a moment and ask not what can I build today, but rather who needs me today? To whom can I reach out? Who needs a phone call? Who needs an extra meal? Who could benefit from just a little extra compassion? Let us embrace these big questions on this Shabbat, and may the Tower of Babel story remind us to build that which is most important, to nourish our souls and our spiritual life, and to perhaps leave this world just a little bit of a better place than we found it. Amen. I know that you guys are here in part to remember Jim Feibel, and I know that we are thinking of Alan Dubrow and others, Mitch Schifrin. There are a lot of examples of people who taught us by the example of their life how to be good people and how to embrace these eulogy values. We know because their eulogies were a reflection of their lives. So perhaps we can get some of the goodness from those folks who we are remembering today and bring it into our lives. We're going to turn to the Mishibara Prayer, the prayer for those who are in need of healing. And on this Shabbat, we are thinking of healing of Catherine Adler, Marcia Ames, Marilyn Altman, Lynn Adams, Sarah Bates, Deborah Belford, Barbara Belford, Marjorie Block, Paul Branson, Lee Buden, Jack Cashman, Dave Sidarquist, Dorothy Cohn, Rob Cohn, Lily Kovitz. We're thinking of healing for Adrian Crawford, Rick Crawford, Taya Delano, Tony Diegler, Carrie Ebert, Phil Edelsberg. We're thinking of Elaine Ellick, Don Feibel, Michael Fiorelli, Rachel Fish, Olivia Glick, Jean Goldberg, Jimmy Green, David Haas, David Hirsch, Don Kerr. We're thinking of Peter Levy, Barb Lucas, Angel Marrero, Fred Martin, Minna Melton, Connie Minarovic, David Minarovic. We're thinking of healing for Caleb Moses and Dorothy Muncie and Dick Nettleman, Robert Oakley, and Nick Parisi, Aaron Phelan, Ian Phillips, Aaron Plaskow, Eric Prostowski, Rashi Prostowski, Jessica Rathkoff, William J. Reese, and Barry Richmond, Zachary Rowe, Emma Rose, Irving Rose, Jeremy Rikus, June Sahara, Ralph Sauer, Susan Shermer, Barbara Schuster, Amitai Sala, Richard Scher, Lou Supowitz, Lauren Tate, Robert Weiss, Maddie Wise, George Zahn, and Laurie Zahn. I ask, are there other names of folks who we're thinking of for healing on this Shabbat? I see Sheila Richards and Steve Hartstein, Big Jim and Tom Miller, Pete Bowman and Tracy Brown. Did I miss any? Amanda, did I miss anything you can see? Say it again. Christy Izzy, thank you. Any others in the congregation? And on their behalf and on behalf of everyone who is in need of healing, we say Baruch Atah Adonai Rafecha Cholim. Blessed are you, God, who helps heal those who need your strength. You can find the Mishibara. Oh, I forgot. Let's see, right
here. Mishibara Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishibara Imotenu Bekor HaBracha Le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. And let us say Amen.
We're going to turn to the Ratio version of Aleinu, page 287 in your book, or right up here on the screen. We sing Bayom Hahu. On that day, God's name shall be one.
Bayom Hahu Yeh Adonai Echad. Bayom Hahu Yeh Shemo Echad. V'ne'emar, as it is written, v'ne'emar, let it be said, God rules the earth. On that day, God shall be one. On that day, God's name shall be one. Bayom Hahu Yeh Adonai Echad. Bayom Hahu Yeh U'Shemo Echad, U'Shemo Echad.
The light of life is a finite flame. Like the Shabbat candle, life is kindled, it burns, it glows, it is radiant with warmth and beauty, but soon it fades, its substance is consumed, and it is no more. In light we see, in light we are seen. The flames dance and our lives are full. But as night follows day, the candle of our life burns down and gutters. There is an end to the flames. We see no more and are no more seen. Yet we do not despair, for we are more than a memory slowly fading into the darkness. With our lives, we give life. Something of us can never die. We move in the eternal cycle of darkness and death, of light and life. On this Shabbat at Temple Beth Shalom, we are recalling those whom death has recently taken from us. We are lovingly remembering Joan Bray, Alan Dubrow, Mark Goodman Feinkenoff, Margaret Friedman Vaughn, and Adelaide Menser. And we remember those who died at this season in years past. We take them into our hearts with our own. On this Shabbat, we are recalling the yahrzeits of Nathan Alweiss, Sybil Ankerman, Murray Berlin, Violet Coe, Arthur Cohn, Helen Danchik, James Feibel, Julia Feibel, Irene Friedman, Jerry Friedman, Harvey Gelfand, Sophia Goldberg, Leonard Goldman, Leon Harrett, Saul Katz, Anne Levine, Alan Meyer, Mary Pabian, Michael Phillips, Ruth Resk, Henry Rich, Gary Rothschild, Ruth Schwartz, and Edith Warnick. I ask, are there any other names of folks who are thinking of for Kaddish? From the folks online, I don't think I haven't seen any yet, but if you have a name, you can put it there in the chat, and we'll be sure to read it after we do our Kaddish prayer. You can find the Kaddish up here on the screen or on page 294, and we'll invite everyone to please rise. Yikadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, ve'alma divrach v'yurtei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yumechon v'chayei decho beit Yisrael, v'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam u'almei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yithaleh v'yithalal shemei dekudashah b'rechu. Le'ela minko berchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya, v'chaim alenu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom mimramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, alenu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace grant comfort to all who are bereaved among us, and together we say, Amen. You may be seated. Just a couple of brief announcements. Next Friday, we have a Shabbat Chai style service, and it's actually, we're going to be back in the sanctuary for that. So hopefully you'll join us. You can see there's plenty of space for in-person folks, and we will invite you back for that. And then the Friday after that, we're going to be back out on the patio. We're kind of switching back and forth between indoor, outdoor. We'll be outside on the patio for the next 2 Shabbatot, I think, or maybe just the next one. I can't remember. You'll find out at some point before then. Just want to also mention that we are doing a Zoom Torah study on Saturday mornings now. If you check the e-window, you can find the address for that. Rabbi Leonard's going to be leading that tomorrow. So let's do a little Kiddush and Motzi, and then we have a closing song, and I can't remember what it is.
We're going to do Osei Shalom.
Yeah, Osei Shalom, that works.
By Oaks. A little bit more than
Oh,
that.
that'd be fun. But let's do Kiddush Motzi. We'll do that. Let me also mention one thing. We are, because we knew that there wouldn't be a lot of people in person, we decided that we would try and do an oneg on the mezzanine. You can see the mezzanine is in the midst of being redone, thanks to the Feibel family and in memory of Jim. And then there's going to be a beautiful mural, a mosaic mural that's going to go up in honor of all of our founders. with a Lodor Vador kind of theme, and that's going to be really beautiful. So hopefully you guys who are here, and if you're not here, you can come here just for the oneg if you want. But you'll go down and get a little bit of food. There's even some decaf coffee and some water and all that kind of stuff. So as long as we can kind of stay apart from each other, we'll open the doors down there. We should be fine. So we'll see. All right, let's join together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinkilanu zikaron b'maaseh v'reishit Ki hu yom tehila lemikra'e kodesh zecher litziat Mitzrayim Ki vanu v'charta v'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hincheltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh Asha Yesba. Amen. L'chaim. How is that vintage? Never gets old. All right. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. All right, let's sing together. Osei Shalom.
Shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom. Shalom Aleinu, Ve'achol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu, Ve'achol Yisrael. Oseh Shalom b'Romah, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu. Shalom b'Romah, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom b'Romah, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu. Ve'achol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom. Shalom Aleinu, Ve'achol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu, Ve'achol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu, Ve'achol Yisrael.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.